What gives me hope? And you know, this is certainly, you know, at this moment in time when so much seems hopeless, you know, when we see the victory of people like Donald Trump, when we see the world not coming together to address climate change. I mean, we saw these efforts for agreements like the Paris Agreement, only for it to fall apart, or the Iran nuclear agreement, only for it to fall apart, or the détente with Cuba, only to see it essentially fall apart. It's tough to maintain hope in that kind of situation. What gives me hope is, you know, at both an individual level and at the bigger level. At the individual level, you know, just to see how people fight back, and both people who have nothing left to lose and people who have lots to lose fighting back, gives me tremendous hope. You know, to see here in the United States, you know, the way communities have come together, for instance, to protect undocumented within their midst, has been just a tremendous source of hope. Because, you know, communities could have said, look, you know, we have other priorities right now. We have to focus on, you know, our citizens. And yet they didn't. They said, no, these are the folks who are most endangered right now. That gives me hope. At the larger level, you know, I think, well, look, you know, things look bleak. But hey, what if you were in the middle of 100 years war? You know, you'd be like, God, this war has been going on for 77 years. When is it going to end? You know, you have no guarantee that it was ever going to end. You know, Catholics versus Protestants, Germans versus French, wars that have gone on forever and ever. You know, thousands of years where our life expectancy was, you know, in the 30s, you know? I mean, women dying in childbirth, one after another. Indisputably, we have made progress. Okay, we also, along the way, built nuclear weapons, you know? Along the way, we have burned virtually every dead dinosaur we found in the ground. We have done horrendous things continuously, and we can ask ourselves, have we ever learned from our mistakes? And yet, if you step back and take the bigger look at things, you can say, well, yes, through these individual and collective efforts over the millennia, we have managed to essentially pull ourselves out of the mud, one way or another. You know, as I said, there's plenty of examples of our collective stupidity over time that would suggest that we as a human race deserve the Darwin Award. In other words, the Darwin Award is given to that individual or group of people who have died in such a spectacularly stupid fashion that it's probably good that they remove their genes from the gene pool. One could argue that the human race as a whole, in comparison to, say, cockroaches, have demonstrated that we are not well suited for this planet. And, you know, ultimately, if we end up either in a nuclear war that destroys the planet, or we do not stop global warming, I may not be around to, you know, to accept the Darwin Award on behalf of humanity, but I would have to say, yeah, well, we proved that we are an evolutionary dead end. But if we're talking about hope, that's where our hope should lie, that in fact we are investing our time and energy in a project, individually and collectively, that will ultimately, may not be in our lifetime, may not be in the lifetime of our grandchildren, as Barack Obama liked to say about nuclear disarmament. I want it to happen, but it may not happen in my lifetime, my children's lifetime, my grandchildren's lifetime. Similarly, one can make that argument about progress more generally. And yes, things don't look good for the next couple of years. But, and I don't believe that the moral arc of the universe necessarily bends towards justice. I don't think there is a law to the universe. The only laws there are the laws that we create. But I would say that if you look at it over the long term, we have, through our efforts, bent the moral arc of the universe toward justice. And that gives me hope.